So it's day 71, and I'm not going to play today. I didn't sleep well. I'm really tired. My brain's not working. I am going to do a little bit of away from the instrument practice this evening, as I've got rehearsals in LA starting on Monday. And the pieces don't look too hard, like technically, like with the left hand. There isn't a whole lot of runs except for the Prokofiev. And I've played Daphnis and Chloe at least twice. Like, I've been through much longer than week-long rehearsal cycles with Daphnis and Chloe. So I don't feel too worried about that one. The other stuff on our program, aside from Prokofiev Piano Concerto No. 1 and Daphnis and Chloe, are two pieces by John Adams. We're doing Short Ride in a Fast Machine and Tomba L'Entra. And I seem to know a lot of people who have played Short Ride, but I've never played it. And I thought that it was something completely different because I've also never heard it, and then I listened to it, and I'm not that thrilled by it. Honestly, I'm mostly just stressed about trying to count it correctly, know where I am at all times. So I'm going to try playing that one sometime over the next few days, playing along with the recording. Tomba L'Entra, I'm going to need to see if I can find a recording with somebody actually conducting it, because I don't really know how to count it. I spent about 15 or 20 minutes a few days ago listening to a recording, starting the recording from the beginning, and still not being able to figure out where we were in the piece. But I think that has to do with the fact that I'm a second violin, and you can rarely ever hear the second violin parts in anything, and I think it's like muted and pianissimo, so the second violins are obviously not supposed to be making a whole lot of noise, but I can't hear them at all. I can't hear any change in the texture. I don't know what's going on. So I need to find somebody conducting it so I can watch the video and figure out how my part works. I think the only other thing is Jennifer Higdon's Blue Cathedral, which I just kind of swiped through it, and it didn't look... Again, it doesn't have a whole lot of passage work in it. It's mostly going to be counting in that one as well. The notes look very simple. The rhythms look relatively simple. I think there's just a lot of time signature changes, probably, to look out for. And counting really carefully, because there are 3 different second violin parts. And I'm going to assume that we have slightly independent things. But it's like 1 part per page. It's not like in the Ives, when we had 4 different second violin parts all written on the same page, so we could follow along with each other and know that, oh, they come in before I do. We don't have that here unless we study the other violin parts on our own. We have access to them, but when we play the music, it's actually just going to be violin 2, violin 2A, and violin 2B, 3 separate books. So we have to count really hard and be sure of what we're doing in that one. So I'll spend some time over the next few days working a little harder on that. Now I will, now that I've gotten the music part out of the way for any of you that care, I will tell you why I don't have the energy or mental capacity to play today, and that is because I barely slept at all last night because I was scared. I'm not sure. I really think I'm just being paranoid here, but I would rather be paranoid and super overcautious than brush these things off and then have something happen. So the first incident was on Thursday, just a few days ago. I I took out the trash. I was up really early. Oh, that was the day that Baron had a coughing fit, and I thought he threw up, so I got up and I walked around the apartment to see if I could find where he threw up, and he didn't, and then I was never able to go back to sleep. So I just got up and started my day. Thursday was also the day that I decided I was going to buy a skateboard. I've always wanted to learn how to skate, and I've been thinking about it and starting to research it, over the last week or so, figuring out what style of board is good for what I want to do, which is just skating around. I don't really have any interest in learning tricks because that greatly increases the potential for injury to my moneymakers. So I just kind of want to use it to get around town quickly and easily, because parking is sometimes very, very, very difficult to find in this town. And the problem with my bike is that I would not only have to find somewhere to lock it up, but I always have to pump up the tires before I leave, because I don't use it super often. There's not a whole lot of times where I think, pedaling 2 miles to where I need to go with my violin on my back is a really great idea, because then I'll arrive there hot and sweaty and gross and not professional at all. So I'm thinking that skateboarding might be a little less sweaty and gross than biking. It's what I'm hoping for when I learn how to do it. Anyway, I just had this really strong need to get a skateboard on Thursday. So I drove around to a couple places in town, and finally at the third store I went to, they had a very reasonably priced board that was exactly what I wanted. It's kind of the size, the style that I wanted, and very cheap, which is good because then I can buy a more custom board later, something with artwork that I like and certain wheel colors or whatever. I can buy something more artistic later, but I just need something to learn on for now. And I found this board, and then I had to run to the high school. I taught my class, and my student that I normally teach at, after the class, I take her back to her house because she's done for school at that point. I take her back to her house. We have an hour lesson, and then that normally gets me to about 2 o'clock on Thursdays. Well, she had an emergency appendectomy over the last 2 weeks at some point, and Thursday was the first day that she'd played, or maybe we did schedule for Thursday and then she ended up canceling, whatever it was. On Thursday she wasn't feeling great, so she canceled the lesson, which gave me extra time to come home and play with my skateboard before I had to go teach the after school program that I work at. So I came home, and I had already planned that I was going to learn how to ride, or at least stand on it, very close to my apartment building, literally around the corner, because there's a nice flat wall there, and it's really just somebody's driveway. There's a gate, a metal gate at the end of it. It's a very short little alleyway thing that only one person would ever be driving in and out of, so no traffic to worry about. And a wall there that I could kind of hold on to while I'm learning how to balance and stuff. So I came home, I put my stuff in here, and I took my board out, and I walk past our trash can receptacle area on my way out there, and I noticed that somebody has opened my can, ripped open the bag, and pulled out a package with my name on it. The reason this is really concerning to me is because my trash pickup day is on Mondays, and I took it out sometime, definitely before 10 a.m., definitely before 10, on Thursday morning, and by Thursday afternoon, somebody had gone to my trash can that's over here behind my building in a place that you can't even see from the street. You can't see it from anywhere unless you go directly back there and you're like walking around this building like a creep. So somebody went back there and opened up only my trash can and opened up my bag and pulled out, went through until he found something with my name on it, and then left that thing hanging out of the bag, sort of. Like, that was the thing that I saw in the hole when it was ripped open. And that really creeped me out. But I tried to brush it off as, well, maybe I didn't put the lid back on the can, and maybe a bird came down and ripped it open and they were looking for a snack or something. But I would expected, if a bird came down rummaging for food, then it wouldn't have looked like a tear in the bag. I feel like it would have looked different, and there would have been multiple things of trash hanging out of the bag, right? Because the bird would have been pulling stuff out, and that's not what I want, that's not what I want, that's not what I want. Like, this looked very deliberate, although it seems very silly that that somebody that wants to figure out my name by digging through my trash didn't put the lid back on the can. Because if you don't, like, if you're trying to be creepy, you should at least make sure that your victim, that your target, doesn't know that you're being creepy. Like, don't leave your shit lying all sloppy around. Anyway, so I, like, whatever, that was probably a bird or something, so I just continued to try to skateboard, and then I came back in and I ate and I went to work, and etc. A few days later, Tuesday night, I came home from rehearsal to find somebody parked in my parking spot. And that always really upsets me, because I don't know who in their right mind would say, I'm gonna park my car right beside this big window that belongs to somebody I don't know. Like, this is a residential building. It's very clearly a residential building. The tenant parking only sign is honestly way too high up on the wall. It needs to be lower. And there's like not a light on it. But I just don't understand the thought process of pulling into this alley and thinking, I need to park somewhere, so I'm just going to park right beside this person's window and hope they don't mind. But I wasn't home at that point, so I was driving in and I noticed there's this car sitting in my spot. Oh, not again. It's happened once before, but I found out that that car belongs to, I think it's a girl that lives in the building across the alley. Because I've seen that car around after that incident. Never parking in my spot again, or any of the spots in this building, but I've seen it, you know, on the street nearby, or parked in the alley like a jackass. Like, a whole bunch of people park just in the alley. Like, they'll pick a spot beside a building, not a window, but like there's a little shed or something, and people just park in the alley. It's so annoying. It feels like I have to dodge multiple cars some mornings to get through the alley without scratching any of them, or my own. I would like to scratch their cars if it wasn't going to damage my own in the process, because I want to teach them a lesson for not, you know, don't park in the middle of the alley, especially when there's no parking signs there. Like, don't park there. But these people don't seem to care. Anyway, this guy was sitting in his car in my parking spot, and I was gonna just kind of roll by and you know, see if there's another spot open at kind of the side of the building where there are 5 units here. There are 5 parking spots, one by my window, one by my neighbor's window, and then the other 3 are different, because these are the only units that face this way, and the only ones with parking spots directly beside them, and the 3 other car spots are elsewhere. But I was gonna go to see if I could park in one of those, I guess, but I noticed the driver was still in the car, so I just pulled up, rolled my window down, and said, "Can you please move? This is my parking spot." And so I backed my car up and I waited for him to pull out, And I feel maybe what most people would do in this situation is just drive on down the alley, because you can get out of the alley and go on your way. But this guy like pulled a K-turn and went right back out onto the street in front of my apartment, which is a really dangerous street to get on. It's one way this direction, and the visibility to pull out onto it is really bad. And it was kind of it's an extremely dark night and kind of rainy, pretty wet. So I don't know why he did that. It was just another thing that kind of skeezed me out. But when I pulled up to him and I asked him to move, I said it relatively politely. Like, I didn't say like, hey asshole, get out, this is my parking spot. I was like, can you move, this is my spot. And he didn't apologize. He just said, I was leaving anyway, or I was just leaving, or something. No apology though. And I said, okay, thanks, and I reversed and sat there and waited for him to pull out. I just thought it was really strange that you're going to tell me that you were just leaving and your car wasn't on. You were just sitting in front of my bedroom with your car off, just sitting there on your phone. So my paranoid brain and upbringing decided to connect the two things and thought somebody dug through my trash to figure out what my name is, because they know that I live alone, because it's pretty easy, nobody else ever comes in here. They dug through my trash to find my name, to find me on social media, so they can make sure that I am indeed single and I live alone and I'm all the way across the country from my family. And then they put that guy out in front of in my parking spot to just confirm the fact that indeed I live in apartment number 1. So I don't know if they're casing me to, like, I don't know, abduct me or human traffic me or something, or if in some strange weird way they're casing my apartment to try to break in. But I was really sketched out and I just could not fall asleep last night at all, until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I really wanted to get up early today and have an extremely productive day, because I wanted to go to work at the shop, but I was too afraid to leave my apartment all day, until I was talking to my friend, who I told him, I messaged him all of this information around 1 a.m. so that in case something did happen to me, somebody had this information and noticed, and knew that I had noticed some suspicious activity around prior to my disappearance, or my whatever might happen. And he said that I should notify the police, because they will probably take to heart a single white female fearing for her safety. So, as bad as that sounds, I figured he was right, and maybe the police should have this information on file, because it can't hurt. So I drove to the police station this afternoon and I filed a report, and the lady that was working with me on it gave me the number for the dispatch office direct, that if I feel unsafe or threatened at any point or see any other suspicious activity, I can call dispatch directly and they'll send a unit to me. And I also have a case number, like a file number now, that if there is any more suspicious activity, then I can go in and update the file. I can update the case. So I'm gonna hope that all of this was just blowing smoke and I didn't actually need any of this, but I'm also putting it on a lot of my, I posted it publicly on Facebook, and I'm just saying it in this video as well, if they are in fact trying to target me for something that I know that something is up, and I am prepared to deal with it. So, like, I'm always on my toes. Otherwise, I wouldn't have noticed or connected the fact that somebody went through my trash, and then a few days later, they planted someone in my parking spot to confirm my identity. So I am prepared to deal with things. I hope it doesn't come to that, but maybe just by, hopefully, if they are creeping on me or my social media at all, they will know that I'm onto them and they will stop. And also now the police know, and I'm going to write something and leave it on my neighbor's doors, even the kind old man that lives up and across from me. I'm going to leave everybody a note to be aware of somebody going through trash, or anybody creeping around this area in particular, because because I certainly don't feel as safe as I used to living here. But there are some very nice men. One lives right next to me. The head of the family that lives in Unit 3 is also really sweet, always says hi to me when he walks in, and I feel like he would also be there to be willing to keep an eye out and look out for me. And then the man that lives across the alley on the second floor came over during the fire. Scared the shit out of me, honestly, because I had no idea why somebody would be knocking on my door in the middle of the night. I thought that, oh God, the fire's jumped and we're getting evacuated. But he came to tell me, he like had his smoke mask on, this mask that is still hanging here just in case I ever need it. He had his mask on, and he'd walked over to tell me that the dome light in my car was on, because I guess when I was getting out of it the night before, I'd poked it on for something and I totally forgot to do anything about it. I just was, trying to get inside as fast as possible. He came to knock on my door and tell me that my dome light was on, because if we all needed to evacuate, it would really suck if my car battery was dead. And then my neighbor and I spoke a little while back, and he told me that he would kind of peek in and make sure that things were going all right in here, because a lot of that, during a lot of that time, I was extremely busy with stuff in LA, or maybe even up north. And he said that he would walk by every day and kind of peek in and make sure that things were all right, and he was keeping an eye on all of the things for our area, all of the news reports, and he wanted to make sure that I was doing okay and that Barron was doing okay. And I gave him my card that if he ever needs to contact me for some reason, then he has my information. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm dealing with, and I feel better now. Even while I was filing the police report, I still felt threatened, but at a certain point this evening, it felt like a weight was lifted. So maybe I did dodge a bullet. Maybe they were watching me. Someone was watching me, and then that person or those people saw that I'm on to their scheme, that I'm aware that something might happen to me. And maybe they stopped. Maybe they're rethinking it, and they've decided not to deal with me, not to mess with me, because I feel a little safer. I'm still going to be scared, and I'm still going to be constantly prepared to deal with anything. The only thing that really worries me now is if they were casing my apartment to break in and steal something, they're going to do it while I'm not here. And that's something that I can't do anything about. Because if they try something while I'm here, I'll shut it down. But if they try to do something and I'm not here, I can't do anything about that. So, thoughts, prayers, vibes, whatever you like to send people's way when things are shaky and weird, go ahead and do that thing. Because I would really like to sleep tonight and not worry about somebody breaking in through my bedroom window and me having to kill them. Because honestly, that's what I'm going to do. Like, I've thought about the situation, and I'm in any situation, whether it's a home invasion or whether somebody attacks me on the street, I'm not going to fuck with wounding them. I'm just going to, like, go for death. And we can deal with it later. But death in self-defense, I think, is reasonable, right? Like, they don't put you in jail for that. And I don't want to take the chance that if I just sort of wound them, that they might have a gun or something and could kill me anyway. So I'm just going to go for the kill shot as soon as somebody starts to fuck with me. I'm not pulling punches. So there's that. I hope I don't have to do that, because it's extremely stressful to mentally prepare myself for how to get free of any of those situations and then do what I need to do. But I'm running through multiple scenarios in my head constantly now, and that's keeping me awake. But hopefully it's also keeping me safe. Hopefully I never have to use any of the skills and things that I'm thinking about and that I'm prepared to use. But yeah, so I hope people just don't mess with me, and I can just continue living my nice, quiet, dirty, awful, dirty life with this cat that is sleeping on my feet. Baron has been very tuned in to the fact that today has been hard, and he's been right beside me all day, sleeping on me or near me or on some part of me all day, and that's calming. It's sweet, and I'm glad that he can realize when things aren't going so great and help me through them. I'm very thankful for Baron. And yeah, so that's day 71. Sorry, it's kind of a bummer, but I will try to get some recording videos for you, or recording videos. I will try to record some videos for you tomorrow, maybe even while I'm demonstrating in a recording class, which is what's on my mind right now. Is I have to go play for a recording technology class in the morning, and I'm going to be playing. So I assume it's going to be like last year, where I played violin, cello, and double bass, and we used different microphones and different placement for each instrument, and then we asked the kids, like, well, what mic do you think would be best, and what placement do you think would be best? And then we do that, and then we play it for them, and then we're like, well, this is the way that it should be mic'd with this mic at this location. See why that's better. Like, can you hear the difference in it? And the difference between the microphones and the placement is astonishing, frankly. It's crazy. So I'm excited to do it again. It's a really fun thing. So maybe I'll take some video of that because it's a cool idea. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow on day 72, and I will play, I promise.